Okay, you have to see this. We came across something truly fascinating, a set of lecture notes from a teacher at a top secondary school in Lagos, Nigeria. And at first glance, we thought, wait, this has to be a mistake, a complete mix up. But as we dug in, we realized it wasn't a mistake at all. It was actually kind of a stroke of genius. Let me show you exactly what I mean. So get this, the subject for the day, history, the topic, historical skills. But the learning objective was to understand animal nutrition. How on earth do you use the study of the past to understand biology? I mean, really, how is that possible? Well, that's the puzzle we're going to solve together today. So here it is, laid out right in front of us. On one side, you have the core skills of a historian: analysis, synthesis, interpretation, and on the other, the fundamentals of biology: food, digestion, nutrition. These two things feel like they belong in completely different universes, let alone the same lesson plan. But you know what? That connection is where the real magic happens. So was it a mistake? Nope, not at all. This teacher was actually revealing a powerful secret. The historian's toolkit isn't just for history. It's like a master key for learning just about anything. This is the core idea right here. The mental muscles you flex to understand, say, a historical event, are the exact same ones you can use to understand what happens when you eat your lunch. Thinking about it this way is a total game changer for how we approach learning itself. So here it is, the secret weapon, the historian's three-step toolkit for understanding literally anything. First up, analysis. You break a complex subject down into its smallest parts. Then comes synthesis. You build those parts back together into a coherent story. And finally, interpretation. You figure out what it all means. So let's put this toolkit to work on that biology lesson. All right, we're starting with analysis. A historian might analyze the causes of a war, right? Well, we're going to analyze what's on our plate. We're about to deconstruct a meal, just like an expert would. Analysis is basically about becoming a detective. You take something big and seemingly simple, like food, and you just refuse to take it at face value. You lean in closer and you ask, okay, but what is this actually made of? What are the fundamental building blocks here? And boom, here's that analysis in action. We've taken the big, messy idea of food and broken it down into 6 clean, essential classes: carbohydrates, proteins, fats, minerals, vitamins, and water. All of a sudden, your lunch isn't just lunch anymore. It's a collection of distinct, crucial building blocks. See that? You're already thinking like a historian. Okay, let's grab the next tool in our kit: synthesis. This is where we build on our analysis. Now that we have all the parts, it's time to put them back together to understand a process, the incredible journey of food through our bodies. So, if analysis is about taking things apart, synthesis is all about putting them back together to tell a story. A historian takes scattered bits of evidence to build a clear narrative of what happened. We're going to take those food components we just identified and see how they create the story of digestion. And here's that story. Each step is its own little event, but when you combine them in order: ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation, egestion, what you get is a complete, coherent process. We've just synthesized a biological system using a historical skill. Pretty cool, huh? Now for the third and maybe most important tool in our kit: interpretation. We've broken down the parts and we've built up the process. But now we have to ask the big question. So what? Why does any of this even matter? This is where we find the bigger picture. Interpretation is really where you step back and find the meaning in it all. A historian doesn't just list a bunch of facts. They argue about what those facts mean for society. We're going to do the exact same thing with our biological data to understand the fundamental strategies for all life on Earth. This table is the perfect launching pad for interpretation. I mean, just by comparing these two strategies, we can draw a massive conclusion. All life is pretty much divided into two groups: the makers and the takers. Autotrophs make their own food, usually from sunlight, and heterotrophs, that's us, we have to get it from somewhere else. That single distinction explains the entire food chain. So how does this abstract toolkit actually apply to real life? Well, the original lesson plan used some fantastic specific examples from Nigeria to make it all concrete. Let's see what we can learn by applying our new skills to the world right around us. Let's take the goat, for instance. Using our interpretation skill, we see it's a heterotroph. It's a taker. It can't just make its own energy, so it has to eat plants. And in that simple observation, we actually see a reflection of ourselves. We are also takers, fundamentally dependent on other living things for our own survival. Now think about the yam plant. It's an autotroph, a maker. It quietly soaks up sunlight and converts it into energy, which it then stores in its tuber. So when we eat that yam, what are we really eating? We're consuming stored sunlight. The plant is the foundation, the producer that makes all that energy available for everyone else, including the goats and us. And then there's the mosquito. It's also a heterotroph, a taker, just like the goat. But its strategy is completely different. It's a parasite. This shows us that even within these huge categories, analysis helps us find all these unique little niches and solutions. The goat eats the plant. The mosquito might bite the goat. Every single organism has its own angle on the universal problem of finding energy. And that brings us right back to the main idea: analysis, synthesis, interpretation. It's not a history toolkit or a biology toolkit. It's a thinking toolkit. It's one set of skills that unlocks every single subject from the classroom to your career to just making sense of your daily life. So that teacher in Lados wasn't confused at all. They were giving their students the key to everything, which really leaves us with the final thought. This powerful toolkit is now yours. So the real question is, what problem, what idea, what part of your world are you going to break down, build up, and find the real meaning in today?